I am celebrating 1 year anniversary of my journey at the moment. On the 6th of July 2016, I left Denmark. And yeah, well, that means I've been on the road for 1 year. I've been literally without an address. I've been homeless for a year. And I thought that I would make a special episode highlighting some of the stuff I've done in the last 12 months. Welcome to the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Meet Ladyboys, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. At the age of 50, he made a bold decision. He sold everything, his house, his car, his furniture, and set out with a quest to visit every single country in the world, documenting everything along the way. This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Before we get started, let me mention that this episode is brought to you in part by hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels and hostels around the world. Hotels25.com, it's best price guaranteed. My first stop on my journey was Estonia, and after a brief stop in Stockholm to visit the TBEX conference, I went back to Latvia and then Lithuania. These 3 countries was exactly like I planned my trip would go. In fact, I made a very detailed plan of my trip all the way around the world. But this is where I deviated from my plan for the first time. And, well, I never really got back to it. I decided not to go to Belarus straight away, and instead I went to Kiev in Ukraine. And when I landed in Kiev, I didn't listen to what the woman said.
Before leaving the aircraft, make sure the personal belongings with you checks at the box are HB.
It can be difficult to understand. Have a listen again.
Before leaving the aircraft, make sure the personal belongings with you checks at the box are HB.
Well, I can't really blame her bad English. It was totally my fault. I forgot my iPad. When I got to the apartment, I thought that would be easy to get it back. I knew my seat was seat 8D and it was on flight PS171, so I wrote an email to Ukrainian International Airlines. They sent an email back saying I should speak to Lost and Found. That should be easy and straightforward. I wrote an email to Lost and Found and got this message back. It read, "Good day. Please apply to Customs Warehouse in Boryspil Airport by phone and check item number 6367. Possible it is your forget iPhone." Yeah, well, it was an iPad, but never mind, I got the intention. "Please call by phone to," and then they state 2 different numbers. I called the first number.
Алло.
Hello, this is Ladyboys.
Алло, я вас слушаю, говорите.
Okay, do you speak English?
No speak English.
But this is the Customs Warehouse, right?
Нет, я не разговариваю на английском. Говорите на русском языке.
Okay.
Извините, пожалуйста.
Well, I don't understand what you're saying. Okay, bye-bye. And then I called the second number.
Алло.
Hello, my name is Ladyboys. Hello.
Алло.
Hello?
No, do speak English.
I was told to call this number.
Не разговариваю на английском.
Okay, you don't speak English?
No.
Okay. Thank you. I would expect that customs service in an international airport would be able to speak, well, just a little bit of English. I mean, they're dealing with international people. Thankfully, my Airbnb host gave them a call and did a bit of research. He said, "You need to go to Customs Warehouse at Terminal F." So I decided to go there. Again, it should be easy and quick. I'm the only one with the password for this iPad, and I have the fingerprint that would open it. So I took a taxi. I met this wonderful smiling taxi driver. His name is Andre. And we drove straight to Terminal F. You wait here? Yeah. I'll be as quick as I can. It was locked and no one was inside. No buildings around that could be customs warehouse. So Taxi Andrei asked some personnel in the area. What she said was, I think you need to go to Terminal B. So we went there. Andrei parked the car at a place where it was only allowed to park for 2 minutes, and I rushed inside. I came to a desk with 3 people, 2 women and a man. The man was leaning on the counter, and to me it seemed like he was just flirting with the women. But he turned his face and was very close to my face when he said, "What do you want?" I explained with a big smile on my face. Then he just said, "Wait," and turned around and kept chatting and laughing with the women. Then a woman came up and said, "Follow me." We went into the basement under Terminal B, and 5 people came out, all with uniforms with stars on their shoulders. One of the guys with 3 stars said to me, "Well, the good news is we have it, but the bad news is you can't get it yet. You need to go to customs warehouse." "Yes, I know," he said. "I know it's Ukrainian bureaucracy." So I got out. Andrei was at this point talking to the police about where he was parking, and we drove around for another half an hour, and eventually we found it.
Hello. I have forgotten, do you speak English? I forgot iPad on plane.
I came in and met this big guy, big, intimidating Boris. He was in a booth, and I was standing looking up at him and told him the story of my iPad.
You should come here and fill out papers.
I understand. Sit down, please. Wait.
All he said was 3 words. "Sit down, wait." And then he sat down and continued reading his paper. 10 minutes later, I dared to go up to him again.
I was told I should fill out some papers.
I understand. Now is Officer Dina. 12 o'clock, 13 o'clock. Wait, please.
Okay.
At 13 o'clock, as Boris said, I was sent into the office, the holy room. Here I met a tiny woman. I would imagine her name was Ursula. She was a small woman with great power. She gave me a form to fill out. It was in Russian, and then she said,
"Your passport and voting."
I haven't got my passport.
I didn't bring my passport.
I have my driver's license.
The email didn't tell me to bring my passport. Ursula was in shock. And then she said again,
"Passport, please. I have to make a copy of passport."
But passport's not here.
And I repeated, "Well, listen, I did not bring my passport." And then I remembered, hey, I have it in my Dropbox.
I have it in my Dropbox. I have it here. So
if only I could get online, I could send it in an email.
Copy of your passport.
But Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi у нас тут нету. Только так. Please send your copy of your passport.
Yes, but I internet.
Internet.
I have. Can I go on Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi.
Ну, customs вот. У меня нет. I have no.
Obviously, she couldn't help me to get online, so
Okay, I'll put roaming on.
I decided to put roaming on. I mean, how expensive could it be to send just a simple JPEG file? I tried to send it. It didn't work. She had a spam filter that prevented her from opening a JPEG file sent from a Danish email account. And then I had this brilliant idea. I had this on my phone. Why don't we just Xerox the phone? Put the phone in the copy machine and make a copy. A crazy idea, and surprisingly, Ursula went for it. While she was doing it, she was still teaching me about bringing my passport.
You have to go with your passport, with your telephone.
And then I said, "Can I get my iPad now?" Ursula looked at me with an expression like she was thinking, how can you be so stupid?
So can I? Do you think I can go and get it now?
No. No.
No?
I don't
Why not?
get upset easily. I'm a very calm guy. But at this point, I could feel a vein in my temple pumping. It was the heat, it was having to wait, it was the whole idea about people in uniform acting better just because they have a uniform on. So I was like sweating in the office, getting a text from my phone provider saying, "You spent too much data and now we're closing it." And I was getting annoyed, so I said,
But I don't understand. It's my iPad, and I have the fingerprint, and I can prove it's mine.
well, she said, "Wait, but only 45 minutes. And then you can call this number." Can you guess which number she gave me?
No, do speak English.
But what the hell, Andre could help me.
I'm sorry.
I said, no English, no English.
And in the end, we were all laughing at the whole thing.
I'm sorry about my bad English.
Sorry about my bad Russian.
I got back in the basement, and a huge woman by the name of Olga finally gave me my iPad. After Ukraine, I went to Moldova, by far the poorest country in Europe. A part of Moldova is called Transnistria. They act as if they are a sovereign nation with their own currency and customs, and it was very interesting to visit as well. Then I got on a bus and went to Transylvania in Romania, and then down to Sofia in Bulgaria, and from there I went to Macedonia. In Macedonia, I was invited to be interviewed by 2 national papers. The conversation all of a sudden took an unexpected direction. I was asked about Hitler, Roosevelt, Trump, over Orson Welles, back to Shakespeare's Hamlet. What is rotten in the state of Denmark? And one of the articles got a headline that made me think, oh, did I really do that? Or has my memory been erased? Anyhow, we were a bit lost in translation. Listen to what I'm saying right here.
Are you still owner of this radio stations, or you sold everything so you could start traveling?
No, I'm still a co-owner. I have 10%.
I feel that it's pretty clear that I say that I'm still a co-owner of the radio stations. But the headline of the article, even on the cover of the magazine, was Palle Bo says, "I've sold 10 radio stations so I can travel around the world." From Macedonia, I headed north to Belgrade in Serbia, where I attended a music festival, and then, in a garden with the locals, I was witnessing Denmark win Olympic gold in handball and Serbia lose the final in basketball to the American Dream Team. I really enjoyed Belgrade, and especially the Serbians. From there, I went to Budapest in Hungary, and I found out that the Hungarian people have a hard time saying my name.
I went to an outdoor fast food joint and ordered a burger, and they asked for my name, and I said, Palle. It's a bit like Pelé, you know, the football player. Pelé. Okay. And they wrote it down, and after 15 minutes they called out a name that sounded sort of like my name. So I went up and said, well, my name is Palle. And then they said, oh, I got your order here. And then they started putting 6 or 7 burgers into a bag, and I said, no, I don't think that's for me anyway. And at the same time they called out, Philip. Yeah, that was not me. So I sat down again and kept on waiting. And as I was waiting, all the time he was calling, Philip! Very, very loud. And I didn't react. And after 20 minutes I went up and said, what's happening to my order? I ordered this chili burger. Oh, I called your name many times, he said, almost angry. No, you said Philip. My name is Palle. Yeah, I called your name. Philip! But that's not my name. So he gave me my burger that's been waiting for 20 minutes.
The next day I tried with Bo. I even spelled it B-O. And he wrote down P-I-O. So P-O. The next day again he wrote B-O-O. So boo. since then, whenever somebody's asked me for my name in a burger joint or at Starbucks, I always say that my name is Philip. In Bratislava in Slovakia, I spoke to Roman Flepo, one of the locals that used to own a bar in the early 90s.
And in this time, we have a lot of problems with the Russians mafia. These people are going to my bar with the guns, and it's true, and asking money for security.
Seriously, they came to you with a gun?
Yeah, going with the gun and tell me, okay, from first they was like a friends and told you, okay, we can give you security, but you have to pay for me 5,000 euro, for example, per month. But if you are tell, no, I don't have money for this, immediately they are changing on the enemies and make troubles for you, and especially broken your bar and make really problems. It was my first experience from 1994 when I a little bit complaining and I say, no, I don't have money because I don't want to pay it. It was a lot of money for the beginning on the bar. But the next day, 20 incredible dangerous looking people from Russian language and make incredible troubles for me and for my guests in my bar. And
what kind of troubles?
They're fighting people. Yeah, it was terrible, and I tried to call police, but the police was corrupted by these mafia leaders, and I have no possibilities, only to pay.
After a small detour back to Denmark to do some public speaking, I went to the United Arab Emirates, first in Abu Dhabi and then Dubai. It's a very Muslim country, and every day in a mosque in Dubai, they do a thing they call open doors, open minds. You can come to this mosque and ask about anything on Islam. It's a way of breaking down prejudice against Islam. I went there, and after the session, I sat down with the Muslim woman that was answering our questions. Her name is Tracy. She's English, grew up in London, and after marrying an Emirati, she converted to Islam.
Yep, that's right. My background is from the Christian faith. I always say to people, never really feel I've changed my religion. I feel I just updated it to that last confirmation.
One thing that you touched a little bit upon, the whole thing about Islam being a very peaceful religion, but still out there are people killing in the name of Allah.
Yes, of course. You know, I always say to people, when someone wants to justify an act of evilness, they will try and justify it in the best way they can, using the Almighty's name. Don't try and, I think it's an insult to God that they're using his name in this evil act. But unfortunately, this is how they're justifying it to themselves.
It was a very interesting conversation I had with Tracy. And then I took my first big jump, all the way over to the Philippines in Southeast Asia. Here I got the opportunity to do some volunteer work with the organization Gawad Kalinga. They have a declared purpose to end poverty for millions of Filipinos. I spoke to a local guy in his mid-40s that had some money problems in a very serious way. He tells me about his father who at one point had kidney problems and had to be in dialysis. And they needed money for that. And as his son, he was the one going to get the money. In 18 months, he managed to raise the money. He worked double shift and borrowed from everyone he could borrow from. Eventually, he had to give up. He couldn't do it anymore. His father told him, "Son, I know that you've done so much. It's okay." And shortly after that, he died. This is another side of the Philippines. On the island of Cebu, I met some very feminine ladyboys.
Why am I a ladyboy? I was born with a ladyboy, I think, because when I will tell you a story, when I was 4 years old, when I was on a daycare center, my all friends are all girls. I am the one who is male, born male. But I know that I love to be a female.
How did you know?
How did I know? At that time, when I go with my friends, I wear girly t-shirts, shorts, blouses. I put makeup on my face even I'm 4 years old. Imagine. And my parents noticed me, what I'm doing, what I did.
What do your parents think about you being a ladyboy?
My parents think nothing. They support me for being who I am.
Yeah. Also, I had a great scuba diving experience. Coral reefs from another world and aquarium fish in the colors of the rainbow. We're on the seabed, but it's only around 5 meters deep. It's almost like a shelf, and then we swim to the edge, where there's a drop down as far as the eye can see. And that's far. I heard that some places around here is as deep as 500 meters. We moved down along the wall to the 18 meters that my open water scuba diving license allows me to. And on the way down, we studied the life that hides in the coral wall. And there they are, the sardines. Millions of small fish that swim like one huge organ unity that flashes when the sunlight hits them. They are everywhere, right in front of us. A huge, wavy, flashing wall. And ceiling too, because they're also above us. It was an amazing sight, which only got better. Suddenly, a blue hole forms itself in the wall of sardines, and out of the hole swims a giant sea turtle. It's almost as it's flying elegantly towards me. I lie completely still in the water and get goosebumps all over my body as it passes me so closely that I could reach out my hand and give it a small pat on the shield. Instead, I swim along it for 5 to 10 meters until it's too fast for me and disappears in front of me. After a week in Hong Kong, I went to Macau. Both of these cities are officially a part of China, but with their own local government. In Macau, I went to the top of Macau Tower that has the world's highest bungee jump. All of a sudden, I saw myself standing on the platform some 233 meters above ground. That's around 700 feet. And with a safety line on my back, I take tiny steps out on the platform, out on the scaffold. Here, the long bungee cord is secured to the harness by assistant number 2. The only thing I can remember thinking while I was waiting for him to finish is, I'm not doing this. I'm just not. How the hell did I end up here? Now I'm just half a meter from the edge, and with 15 tiny steps, I move further so my toes are just over the edge. I remember I'm scared falling down, even though that's technically the point of it all. Assistant number 2 has a tight grip in my harness, and suddenly I feel a hand from the grinning guy from before. I'm still thinking, I'm just not doing this. And then I can feel his hand, the human contact. I just want to hold on to this hand and never let go. I just wanted to give him a hug and make him say, "Don't worry, it was just a joke, you don't have to do this." But I know it's not gonna happen, and that I can't hesitate and have second thoughts right now. I'm on the edge with my arms out to each side. I'm hyperventilating and thinking, this is it when they start the countdown.
Here we go! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lean forward!
Wait a second. What you're about to hear now is something that I'm not proud of. I didn't think that I was going to scream, But I did. I screamed like I've never screamed before. I screamed until there were no more air in my lungs. Then I took a deep breath and screamed some more, because I was still falling. You can see both pictures and videos from that day on theradiovagabond.com. From here, I went to Taiwan and had both a not so good Airbnb experience and then saw some beautiful nature and met some very nice people. And then I went to Singapore, where I stayed with a local guy that I met in Manila. After lunch, I asked him if he had some chewing gum.
No, I don't. Sorry. It's illegal to own chewing gum in Singapore.
It's illegal to own chewing gum in Singapore? I've looked for it in shops. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, pretty much you cannot buy chewing gum in Singapore, yes. Well, you can buy a chewing gum. Probably it has to be prescribed.
It has to be prescribed?
Yes, it has to be prescribed either by a doctor or a dentist for some dental issues.
Really? What about bringing it into the country?
Oh, well, as in a lot of people actually bring in chewing gums from nearby countries. But when you bring into the countries, it has to be like of a certain amount, and it has to be like an open package. It cannot be a sealed one. Like my brother told me, he was on a trip to Johor Bahru, Malaysia, which is about less than 1 hour's drive from Singapore. At the custom, like one of his friends tried to smuggle in a package of chewing gum, and it was caught. So his friend were brought into a room and gave him a dustbin, and the officer actually asked him to open all the chewing gum and throw it into that dustbin, like every single package of chewing gum. So he bought like, I don't know, a few packs of it, like boxes. So he has to open the chewing gum one by one, separate the packaging and the gum itself, all dump into the dustbin. So yeah, pretty much like almost a whole hour in there.
Man, that's interesting. And then on to Malaysia. First in Kuala Lumpur, where I played badminton with the locals, and then 2 weeks on the small island of Langkawi. Here I became good friends with my Airbnb host, Sulaiman, who was a Muslim. We spent an afternoon together where we talked a lot about religion.
Yeah.
Do you feel I'm lost and I'm missing out on some of the good stuff?
That's why I say I'm not pulling you to Islam. No. I'm giving you information so that in the year after, when before God, the angel said, you miss your chances. Remember when you met Palebo? Remember? Yes. He stayed 2 weeks at my place. Wow, very nice guy. Yes. Do you say anything to him about Islam? No. Why? That's why he died a non-believer. Because so that in the hereafter, if they mention you, I've done my responsibility. I told him already.
Oh, you've done a lot.
Yes, and he doesn't believe in the thing. He's steadfast, holding on to his belief. His chosen path. Then God say, yeah, it's not your.
Next up was Thailand.
During the day, it's almost deserted, but when the sun goes down, it goes nuts there.
I'm in the walking street here in Pattaya, and it is a crazy party street / red light district.
Lady?
No, not really.
Yeah, pussy, egg, pussy, ping pong.
Ping pong?
Yes, pussy, open the bottle.
Open the bottle? How is that possible?
Yes. Yeah. Very good. Pussy, egg, pussy, ping pong. Yes, pussy, open the bottle.
And it was as if the music and the chaos just became louder and louder night after night.
Very good.
And then I've had enough.
I also saw a completely different side of Pattaya, an orphanage run by the Father Ray Foundation.
There are really poor people who come here and are living in slums. You move to the city for a better life. You hope it's going to be a better life, but then you're living in a slum. You're not registered anywhere, so your kids can't go to school, you can't get medical help, you can't get anything.
A bit further north, I was joined by my youngest daughter, Clara. She's taken a gap year before going to university, and she accepted my offer to come travel with me for 4 months. After one night in Bangkok, we went to Chiang Mai in the northern part of the country. Here we spent Christmas Eve together in a very different way than what we're used to from Denmark.
You kept looking to see if it would bounce. I know, it's like, come on, motherfucker, do what you do for Travis. Do what you do for Travis. Turn, bitch. Turn.
In case you're wondering what the hell is going on, let me fill you in. A group of digital nomads here in Chiang Mai said, let's do something different for Christmas. Let's go to Pizza Hut and then go bowling. So we looked at each other and said, that sounds just about crazy enough. Let's do that. It was a lot of fun and a very different way to spend our Christmas Eve. And I made a strike, but lost the game. Some of the stuff I talk a lot about in my episodes from Chiang Mai is why you should not ride on the back of an elephant, why it's harmful for the elephants, and why they're being mistreated in order to train them to accept tourists on their backs.
I'm at the Elephant Jungle Sanctuary right now, and a lot of beautiful elephants here. First we were serving them sugar canes, small sticks. We had them in the pocket, and they knew that they were in the pocket, so they just put the trunk in there. They didn't care about what was in our hand because they knew there were more in our pocket, so they're kind of getting used to this. And then we brought this longer things. I think that's also some kind of sugar cane, and we dragged that all the way from up there to down here, and now feeding the elephants. In a minute we're going swimming with the elephants. This is really quite an experience.
In Luang Prabang in Laos, we met a wonderful Australian couple, Robin and John. Robin, a loving grandmother, told me about being arrested by the police.
Say that again, you need permission to give out free books and pencils?
Well, apparently I'm breaking the law of the land, because for me to do it legally, I would have had to get permission from the tourist police, from the tourist department, and from the education department before I was allowed to walk into a school by myself with no Lao person and give them free books and free pencils.
It's some crazy stories that Robin can tell me, and you can hear them all in podcast number 32 from Laos. Then we jumped to the northern part of Vietnam, first in the vibrant city of Hanoi with scooters all over. Then we went on a cruise in the beautiful Ha Long Bay, one of the 7 nature wonders of the world, and then we headed south to the small town of Hoi An, and then on to Saigon, today Ho Chi Minh City. Here we went crawling in the Chu Chi tunnels. That was a big part of the Vietnam War. And then we come to a place where they put up different traps next to each other, one more horrible than the other. And our cheerful guy tells us how they work, and he does it with a smile and cracks jokes as he does it.
One trap, anyone take a look. 1, 2, 3, like this.
Back in the day, all the traps were in the forest, and all of them were built with a trapdoor, and then you fall down into a hole where all kinds of terrible things will happen. Right next to the traps, there's a shooting range where you can shoot a machine gun. I could see the fun and excitement of that, firing a machine gun, but in any other place than just right here. I think it's inappropriate when you think of how many people were killed by machine guns right here in this area. How much blood there's been spilled into the ground right here where they built a shooting range. I don't like it. It's in poor taste if you ask me. From Vietnam, we went to Siem Reap in Cambodia. That has a lot to offer. Besides, of course, the Angkor Wat temples, we also went flying.
Notice there's nothing tying it to the ground. There's no strings attached.
so God knows where we're gonna land. Okay, we have officially left the ground. We're taking off now. Here we are in a hot air balloon, and for like how long now?
I don't know. I've lost all sense of time. It's such a surreal experience.
Yeah. Just when we maybe 15-20 minutes, I would guess. Just when we took up off the ground, it was scary.
Very scary.
But now not so much.
No,
it's very nice right now, and the kids down below are waving because they know there might be some candy being dropped off. See this guy over there running, and the sun is completely red right now. With a stopover in Hong Kong, in order to get our visas, we traveled on to China. We were in Ningbo, Shanghai and Beijing.
Okay, now we are finally here at the Great Wall of China, and we're going to be walking for 3 hours, and our guide told us that we could make it all the way to the top up there in 30 minutes and then 30 minutes back, but that remains to be seen. It's a long way up there. But it's so great to finally be here and be able to touch the Great Wall of China and take a look at the landscape. It's amazing.
We also met a local artist. His name is Lee. There's a thing that makes me go, It is that the Chinese, even here in 2017, see Mao as their spiritual leader. It makes me wonder, did they forget that he was quite a monster? At least 45 million people died. They were worked to death, starved, or beaten to death in China in those 4 years when Mao was in power. But the Chinese forgive him. Have a listen to Li.
Mao is a spiritual leader of China even today. No Chairman Mao, no new China.
Yeah, so that's what you said. No Chairman Mao, no new China. But he killed millions of Chinese.
Everybody know. Everybody will do something wrong, right in your life.
So the Chinese people forgive him for that?
Of course. Yeah.
And this is as far as we've come in the podcasts. But I have been many places since then. In a minute I'll tell you where, and also where I plan to go the next couple of months. But before then, let me mention that this episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels around the world. Hotels25.com, it's best price guaranteed. From China, we went to North Korea. This is the next episode, and it will be quite different. Because everything is recorded on my phone, I was not allowed to bring microphones. There'll also be episodes from Seoul and Jeju Island in South Korea, and from Japan, where we were joined by my oldest daughter, Amanda. We spent 2 weeks in Japan during cherry blossom season before I left them and went to Canada. One day after that, they flew back to Denmark. There will be quite a lot coming out from Canada. I spent 5 weeks in Toronto before going to the French-speaking part of Canada. I was at a baseball game, I flew helicopter over Niagara, I got to meet a lot of the locals. All in all, I have tons of recordings from Canada, and I can't wait to dive into it and find the best parts to share with you right here in this podcast. From Canada, I went to the Bahamas, where I went snorkeling in Dead Man's Reef, I went swimming with dolphins, and I went scuba diving with a lot of colorful fish. I celebrated my 1 year of traveling in Natchez, Mississippi, a little bit north of New Orleans, where I went to celebrate 4th of July with a giant fireworks and a lot of jazz and blues in Bourbon Street. After 3 weeks in Natchez, I spent 1 week in St. Louis and then did a road trip down to Memphis, Arkansas, Clarksdale, Mississippi, Alabama, Chattanooga, Nashville, Indianapolis, Toledo, Detroit, and Chicago. It was a 2.5 weeks couch surfing road trip. Right now, as I'm recording this, I'm in Nicaragua, and I intend to spend 2.5 weeks here before I'm going to Atlanta and North Carolina. Yes, I'm going back to the US. From there, I'm really not sure what's gonna happen. Maybe I'll do another road trip in the northeastern part of the country. Maybe I'll head south to Florida. Maybe I'll do some more in the Caribbean or Central or South America. Or who knows, maybe I'll go somewhere completely different. The only way to find out is to stay subscribed to this podcast. Remember that you can also follow me real time if you go to my Facebook page, Palle Radio Vagabond, or follow me on Twitter and Instagram as Radio Vagabond.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe in iTunes or the podcast app on your smartphone. You can see pictures, watch videos, and read much more on the radiovagabond.com. Palle can be reached for interviews and public speaking gigs on mail at theradiovagabond.com.
My name is Palle Bo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.